This episode of Finding Demo Surf Fishing is being brought to you by the Kids Can Fish Foundation. The Kids Can Fish Foundation is a 501(c) charitable organization that's doing great things for kids and helping them get out there and learn more about throwing a cast net, surf fishing out of the St. Simons Island, Georgia area. Hopefully one day they'll be national, but they're doing a lot of great things in that area, and they're also doing other camps throughout that zone. So super awesome program, super great thing that they're doing for these kids. And if you go over to kidscanfish.net, you'll see more about it, and you'll also see opportunities to be able to help them by sending in a donation and just making this continue. Like they always say, more tackle boxes, less X boxes, and that is awesome for these kids. So again, kidscanfish.net, get on over there, order, help them out, do good things. New episode, new week. I know the format's a little funky here. It's a little different. You weren't expecting the music to change like that on you, but I'm actually recording this week through StreamYard, and I am talking with a local awesome dude that I know very well from Half Hitch Tackle, Mr. Colin. We're going to go into a lot of really cool things. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Colin is a rod maker, a hell of an angler, lots of really cool things to tell you about with this guy. And finally, I managed to convince him to come on the show to talk to us about it. He's kind of quiet in the world of social media for now. You're going to see a lot more of him and a lot more cool things. He's, what's the good word to say? He is catching a lot of fish very, very quietly. Yes, that's probably the best way to say it. But he's doing really cool things, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. So without further ado, Colin, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you on.
What up, man?
Fun. It's been fun coming back into the shop and seeing you, dude. It's weird not being there and seeing you guys.
I'm so glad you're back, man. Like, to be honest, you're so fun to come into because, you know, you listen, you talk, you know. I'm glad to have you back, man.
Well, thank you. And I plan on sticking around this time, so no more falling off as I go.
Don't do that no more.
So let's go ahead and have a little bit of these pieces here. Let's go for the first opening question, because we're going to start in the beginning and we're going to work our way through it. Tell us your story and what got you into fishing.
Man, so I'm not originally from Florida. I know it's like, if I see all these people like, yeah, I was raised on fishing, you know, they're like, I started fishing when I came out of the womb. You know, there's a lot of people like that. And I'm just like, I moved here my freshman year of high school, and I wasn't really into fishing. I was playing video games 8 hours a day, playing Counter-Strike and League of Legends on my computer.
Oh yeah. Good games right there.
You know, I was a gamer. I didn't really fish, man. And then my freshman year of high school at Navarre High School, I moved here, and not too many people from the high school fished, but I've always kind of been interested in it when I moved here. So I was like, maybe I'll go to the pier. And I remember that first time I went to the pier, it was like a light bulb went off in my head, man. It was like seeing people catch Spanish and people, like everybody, all the locals run around the pier throwing at, you know, tarpon and all these cool things. It was like, what have I been doing with my whole life? You know, it's like, why would I play video games? I know that kind of sounds cliche, but that's just how it was for me. And when I first started fishing, I was a pier rat, and I remember it specifically. I saved up all my allowance from mowing lawns and doing all stuff, and I went to Walmart and got a Pin Fierce 4000 on a Ugly Stick GX2. That was like my first setup, and I bought me a gotcha plug because I saw everybody using gotcha plugs. I was like, well, this must be good, and I started catching Spanish, and that's just what started it all, really. But that first like freshman year to like junior year, I really didn't do much like serious fishing. It was just like I go out on the pier on the weekends and catch Spanish and hardtail and whatever eats a gotcha plug, because that's really all I knew how to use, but I wasn't like too serious about it.
Okay. So starting out there, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Penn Fierce combo. That's
Oh
always cool
no.
stuff, man. I mean, I think a lot of people poo-poo some of these younger, or they think it's an entry level, or oh, it's not that good. It's like, no, the Penn Fierce does friggin' phenomenal. It is a great opening setup, and you can really customize and plan with it.
Shoot, yeah, you can get, dude, a Penn Wrath could be a good combo. You know, there's the tackle has gone a long way. From being in a tackle shop, I can I test a lot of stuff and I see a lot of stuff that comes through, and it's especially gone a long way, especially with a good one is surf combos. You can go into Half Hitch right now and get a Penn Wrath 10-foot combo or a Penn Fierce combo with a 10-foot rod for $90 to $100, you know, and that's incredible.
Yeah, click the wrong button there. See, that's the one part that I think a lot of, especially new people getting into the game, really kind of forget about is the tackle shop. There's not a big deal to like, they don't want to take your money. That's not the game at all. But you can get fully set up for, I mean, in reality, you can get fully set up for under $100 to get after it.
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of people come in, especially this time of year, since we're getting close to our Pompano run. People come in from out of state, and they a lot of people tell me, they're like, I just want to catch a fish. I just want to catch a fish, which is like, it's hard to do because when somebody says, I want to catch a fish, it's like, well, where are you going to be fishing? Where are you headed? Ask all these questions. But usually when somebody says that, I'm like, I sell them a pompano rig, usually a Salty's pompano rig with some fish bites. And I was like, just throw this off the beach and, you know, you're going to get a fish, whether it's a catfish, ladyfish, hardtail, pompano. But this time of year, you know, if somebody wants to come down to Florida and just like catch a fish or any species of fish or a lot of fish, I'm just like, go off the surf. It's nice. You know, you get to lay back the sand, you know, put a sand spike, chill with your family. That's to me why I like surf fishing, is just the relaxation of it.
It's hard not to relax when you're on the beach. And then catching fish is just, you know, that momentary adrenaline, and then just enjoy yourself the rest of the day, really.
Yeah.
So with that one being said, what type of fishing do you like to do?
Well, glad you asked. When I first moved here, it was like all about the pier. It was like I'm 100% all about the pier. And then I did surf fish quite a bit, actually, when the like, for me, when I like to surf fish, I like that overcast days with some pretty roughed up waters. Actually, if the water's sandy or a little, not dirty, but that sandy, I kind of like that. I think a lot of pompano move through when that water's pretty sandy and that overcast. Like the flat days, I don't really like fishing. The flat, clear days, it's just like, I like to walk the beach and fish and sight fish, but when it comes to set rig fishing, I like them overcast days.
Yeah, that is one thing I do remember about you is you love the walk. You are all about making it down to the, you know, all the way down to the Eglin line, if not further. You will go out there and push yourself to go find those fish. And I mean, I haven't heard of a time where you haven't been successful. So that whole method right there is always spot on, good to go. So I can't think of a better way when you do it. I'm just like, yep, it's cool. I wish.
Hey man, you're doing it too. I see you throw that popper around. How's the popper doing for you?
It's been okay. I need to get back out and play with it. I mean, a lot of stuff happened before. I was doing a lot of things before I got hurt. And then now it's like, okay, we got to get back into that and try to get back in and get the strength back. So eventually I will be back out throwing the popper. And I'm trying to get my hands on a couple more Halcos right now. Mm-hmm. But apparently it's difficult to get things from Australia. So I'm unfortunately having to use a side reference of like, hey, can you help me out with this? I need these poppers.
Have you messed around with Nomad yet?
No, not yet.
They got some pretty cool poppers.
Really?
Nomad is a brand I really like. It's from Australia.
Okay.
And they use BKK hooks, if you've heard of them.
I have.
Which is another Australian brand. But Nomad out of Australia, they make these really cool little squid lures that they just came out, and the top water popper is really good, and they're I call them X wraps, but you know I'm talking about like the hard body Rapalas
Yeah.
with like the treble hooks. I
Yep.
call them X wraps, but they kind of make those like a trolling lures for blackfin tuna.
You said the word.
I did say it.
Oh no. The world's gonna end. BFT. Dude, one day one of us is gonna catch one of them from the beach. We're gonna.
Oh, you're gonna be the first one. I know you are. You care more about it than anybody.
I just think it'd be cool. I'd love to have a tuna like that. I mean, this year I've been butthurt that I didn't get out there. So
listen, what we're gonna do is you get to put your popper on the back of my kayak, and I'm gonna kayak it out. And then get one.
I mean, it's basically sharking with a popper. My luck, something really bad will happen. What has been one of the craziest or your favorite catch?
My craziest or favorite catch? I've caught a lot of weird things. You ever heard of a rabbit fish?
Oh, of course. We're starting to see a lot more of them now from what I've...
Rabbit fish, I mean, it's not that crazy, but to me, they're so freaking cool. It's a giant puffer fish with teeth of a rabbit. That's why we call them rabbit fish. That will cut your finger in half. The craziest things, but they're they're like crazy poisonous, right?
Yeah.
I have a buddy in Asian culture that it's a delicacy for them.
Yeah, you got to cut it the right way.
You got to the right way, or you're gonna drop dead in your house. But they're apparently they're like incredibly really good, and they got really white meat on them. But I'm not ever I don't care if it's the best fish cleaner in the world. I don't want to risk that.
You got to live dangerously, man.
But catching I explain this a lot to people is when we see a rabbit fish on the pier, it's probably the closest fish to a cobia without being a cobia I can explain.
Really?
Like the way they eat. So when you throw out one on the pier, they're very aggressive actually. But the way they go on your lure and the way they go down on it, it's very, very similar to how a cobia eats.
Huh.
So it's always good practice. And they come, they're coming this time of year. So they'll fool you too. You're like, oh, there's a nice little ling coming down, but really it's a rabbit fish. But they're really cool, man. That's probably one of the crazier fish we catch out there. But I talk to people a lot that here in Navarre, this, but you can get the most diverse species of fish probably in the world. We're catching mahi, sailfish, blackfin tuna, not even a mile away from the shore, and that's pretty unheard of. Like,
we absolutely have a ridiculous fishery for that stuff.
It's great. Like to tell somebody I caught a blackfin tuna not even a quarter mile away from the shore on a kayak. That's 25 pounds. They're like, what? We are spoiled here,
Yes, we are. On top of that too, people talk about, I want to get red snapper. I got to go out on a boat. You can just go right off the end of Navarre Pier in a kayak, drop down at the reefs, and you're going to pull a red snapper. You're going to pull a mingo. There's a ton of fish just right off the pier at all the reefs that the divers are. And, you just got to share the space. But, if you're here in the surf, you're going to catch whiting, pompano, bluefish, Spanish. Oh, good. Black drum, red drum, flounder. The list goes on and on.
It's just, you never know what's going to happen. That's one of my joys of living here. Like going on that pier, I never know what I'm going to see.
Yeah. We're becoming a known secret now. We're starting to get, the tourism has definitely increased significantly. And with social media, it's only gotten bigger. We got people all over the country and the world, that they hear about this and all of a sudden they start coming down like, I'm going to catch a tuna in winter. Yeah, you very well could.
Yeah.
There's so many great options for fishing here, and we're very fortunate.
It's crazy, man. Like, even though I haven't really fished most places, it's just crazy to think of we can get tarpon, cobia, any fish you can imagine, except for the rooster fish or marlin, or it depends. But the stuff you can catch from the surf here and the pier, there's nothing quite like it at all.
Yeah, buddy. It's good stuff. Well, now that we've nailed your craziest, what is a bucket list fish that you wish to catch?
Gosh, bucket list. I'll tell you right now. Since I got in the water and then the kayak fishing a couple times, maybe about 10 years ago or less, they were catching wahoo off Navarre from the kayaks. Couple people did. I don't remember their names, but my buddy Calvin Martin was telling me about them. But yeah, a wahoo from the kayak, I think, would be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I watched I don't know if you ever watched them Hawaii videos or the Australia videos. There's a lot of people who catch the wahoo from the kayak, and it looks insane having a fish drag that hard. Yeah, but yeah, a wahoo from the kayak, definitely bucket list fish.
Okay.
For me. What about you? What's a bucket list fish to catch off the surf?
Whoa! We're not talking about me.
I want to know because I know you like that blackfin. I know you want that blackfin from the surf.
I would love a BFT from the surf. Actually, one thing that I would love to catch that I know is possible would be a cobia from the beach. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They are a little further out, and I know that they're not exactly going to come jumping out of set rig, but if I can get a lure out there far enough and maybe be able to play the game a little bit, that's a cobia would be definitely be a bucket list monster for me. That's just from the beach. So
my old coworker, my buddy Kyle Rowerig. He's got one from the beach.
Really?
Yeah. He never told you about that? It was
no,
barely legal, but
what does the man not catch?
Yeah, he's a beast.
I mean,
he's a maniac.
The dude is a hell of an angler. And,
yeah,
and a great guy, but the dude is really, really good at what he does.
Taught me how to pier fish, really.
Did he?
Yeah. The guy.
Yeah, there's not many people when it comes to pier that, I hear pier fishing in Navarre. Him and you are probably the first two that I always think of. So,
it's not for everybody, man. You gotta, I don't want to, but you kind of gotta like fit in. You kind of, they'll take you in, but it's, I'm gonna tell you right now, like some of the best fishermen I know and some of the best fishermen who are like captains in Destin all started from the pier. There's a lot you can learn and see how fish behave and see what they like from sitting on that pier and just watching. We're gonna get you into it. I know I will. I'm determined.
See, I will go on the pier if I go with you guys because I understand the etiquette, but going out there on my own, I'm not going to be. That's not my thing. I'm not going to get in their bubble. That's their bubble. You do you. I'm going to be happy down here in the surf line. We'll get there. But yes, I will go with you on the pier. I will happily come out there sometime.
It's you can't, man. You gotta say, you gotta be like, screw it. You gotta be like, I'm catching this fish. Don't care about anybody beside you. But it's if you understand it and you come out there and I kind of show you, like, it's not that intimidating. They make it seem intimidating, but it's really not as bad as you think it is, I think.
See, it's not the intimidation factor. That's not what worries me. If we're being fully honest here, what worries me is my response.
Let's go.
Is my response. That is where that I know is my downfall. And I've accepted, embraced my little problems and my slight bit of anger and the inability to control my mouth sometimes when pushed. But that knowing that it's like, look, why put yourself in that situation? Everyone's out there to normally have a good time, and you're going to have the one D-bag that you're going to be like, look, dude, I'm really not in the mood, and I really don't want to burn my one anger management card on you. So I'm going to go this way. You go that way.
Yeah. A lot of people come to the store and they're like talking about want to go fishing on the pier. I wouldn't recommend going pier fishing if you're like coming here to visit Florida and you want to have a good time. I would always recommend surf fishing for people. Just because, the pier there is going to be people running around throwing over your set lines. I'm sorry, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you just want to catch fish, if you're coming down here, stop by Half Hitch Navarre, talk to one of us. We'll get you set up, for that surf.
And you guys are really good at that. And there's been so many awesome improvements with Half Hitch Navarre for the surf side and you can get everything. You can get the gear.
Oh, yeah.
bait, you can get the tackle, you're good to go. You can get lures. I mean, there is zero in reality to really worry about. You walk in and you're ready to rock and roll. So that was it's one of my favorite things about that, especially being so close to the beach. I mean, you can't ask for something better. But we're actually just hit the 20-minute mark here, so
God, bye.
Yeah, it's quick, man. It's quick. So we're going to go ahead and knock out our very first bait check of the episode. It is your first bait check of the episode. Hopefully you've caught a bunch of fish by now. And if you haven't, why? What's going on? Let's check that bait. Make sure you still got it. Maybe you need to switch it up. Maybe you need to change a different style, different scent, different flavor. Maybe you need to use something else other than shrimp, maybe crabbies. Who knows? Get it back out there and go fish. This bait check is being brought to you by The Sinker Guy. Head on over to thesinkerguy.com and take a look at everything that Chip's got going on in the Sinker Guy garage. Need sinkers? It's in his name. You can get them. Easy day. Maybe you need some terminal tackle? Yep, he's got those too. What about the Bruno rig? We don't talk about Bruno. Kind of heard about that big thing? Been going on. Really good rig. The Fishing Mortician, he's got it in there with the snoods. Just about anything you might need, he's got you set up. So again, head on over to thesinkerguy.com. Get your order in today. Because that's the most important thing. That's why everybody comes here. They want to learn, man. They want to learn. So for you, how do you plan your beach fishing trips here?
I was like, you muted me. But weather, I think. So okay, I look at weather mainly. I know a lot of people want to look at tides and moon phases and all this junk, but what I'm really looking for is that surf height and what the water's looking like. I won't fish the surf if it's complete mud, because I ain't trying to get a million catfishes. I'll have something better to do. But I like it pretty rough, where probably about maybe 2 to 3 in the surf. Not enough where I got to put a 4-ounce Sputnik on and without my lead dragging across the entire surf. But I try to look for a little bit silty water, and then when I go down the beach, I usually go to Navarre because I'm lazy. I don't feel like driving to Opal and all them other places. But I usually go to that last pavilion. You know what I'm talking about, with the kayak ramp. Yeah. I like walking east, and the beach is not too hard to read. I look for a hole, which is obviously when the waves are not crashing as hard. When I mean by holes is like, if you look at the beach, just look at the waves, especially on the rough days, they're easier to see, but the waves will crash really hard and really quickly where it's shallow, and then kind of where it's calm is a nice hole. And that's usually a good spot to be. Or, I don't know the proper name, but like, how there's like a rip current and then like a little spot in the sand that kind of goes out into the side of it. Yeah, the cut. That's a good place. I like putting the rig right there, really, in the surf. But I guess when I'm surf fishing, I really only bring like 3 rods with me. I don't know. I don't like being that guy who brings like 7 rods on the beach and spreading them out 20 yards a piece. But I bring 3 rods. I usually do them 3 different distances, and I'm bad about, like, when I know something that works, that's all I use. Like, I don't really fool around with testing new stuff. So really, I'm gonna tell you, all I use are orange and white sand fleas, color fish bites, and I'll tell you exactly why. You probably know why, because sand fleas, when they're spawning, their eggs are orange. And so I like using orange and white sand flea, usually with a white or orange float for the pompano rig. But I always like using live sand fleas. I'm too lazy to pump ghost shrimp. I've actually never really tried to, because I don't know. But raking sand fleas, I usually rake sand fleas, but I like putting that. I like finding a nice small sand flea. I don't use the monster sand fleas, but a nice small one, and then I put that on my hook and use that orange and white fish bite to kind of lock it in. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But I think a lot of people mess up, especially when they come in the store. They think they got to cast to the Cuba when they're fishing the surf. I don't think a lot of people realize these pompano are going to be swimming like in the trough to your feet. They're not going to. Yes, it's good to put out a long range rod and see where they're at, but a lot of the times you can just lob it off the beach. You don't got to throw as far as you can. Just kind of lob it off the beach, put 3 different distances with your rods, find where these fish are, and then adjust accordingly.
You know, there's a couple of cool things you mentioned there. So the orange and white is one of the greatest little visual advantages that come with that bait, and the scent is always really, really good. And sand fleas are such a, I don't want to say universal bait, but it's so useful here. I mean, it is just, it's hard not to want to use it because it's so readily available. You know, if you're in an area where there's enough of a sand flea presence, you throw it out there, you're probably going to hook up no problem on that. Mm-hmm. It's funny because we're doing this, and I'm going to say this, we've got a couple of viewers in the background sitting here of the show that are kind of watching from the green room here. One of them is Rich King from DS Custom Tackle. He just put a comment and he's like, he needs my flea floats. And I was like, that might not be a bad float. I'll have to bring him some. So yeah, there's some really cool pieces here that, you know, come together with that. So yeah, I totally get where you're going, and you nailed it right there with the next question about spot selection. So let's actually talk about the gear setup. And you talked earlier about the rigs. You know, you're going to use you said, what was it? It was Frisky and Salty. You know, you were talking about the rigs, throwing that all together. Do you do anything else? Because I know that you use lures. I know that's one of your favorite things is to throw lures. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about throwing lures in the surf. What do you jump into, and what do you really like utilizing?
So to be quite honest with you, Brian, I'm not much of a set rig person. When I do set rig,
no,
I'm gonna be
never guessed that.
If I'm surf fishing now, it's gonna be like sight fishing. But my go-to, there have so many different names. You know, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. I call them banana jigs. People call them goofy jigs. I've seen people call them silly willies. There's a million different names for them. But what it is kind of like a lead weight with a little fly teaser, and like pompano candy. They cannot stand this when you bounce that off the sand. And when I'm looking, so my perfect day for like pompano fishing off the surf, sight fishing, is it's got to be like a north wind. North wind is good. If you don't know if you're from here, from Navarre, north wind is what usually gives us clear water. So when that north wind starts pushing, it clears that mud out, and it lays down the beach, what makes the the waves flat. Most of our waves here are wind. So that north wind is going to lay down that water, and it's going to be nice and clear and that nice emerald green. I like walking down the beach. But the pompano, they'll flash. They'll kind of like sometimes you don't even see the actual fish. You're seeing their flashes, and that's what you want to throw at. But that little banana jig, I like tipping that teaser with the little pompano jig. And that's probably my go-to for pompano. And, a redfish is going to eat it. It's not strictly for pompano. It could be redfish, black drum,
So you're talking about, like the goofy jig, banana jig. So how do you tie yours? Like, do you keep the weight on the bottom and then the teaser on that same loop, or do you have it as another dropper?
Okay. So how I do it and how I learned to do it was you want to tie something called a loop knot.
Okay.
With a loop knot, it's you have I wish I could have my camera on so I could show you, but with you get the lead and the teaser. So this is a good way to explain it. So the hook of the lead is going to say like going to the right, and the teaser hook is going to be going to the left. So it's going to be opposite facing with the teasers, and with that loop, you tie it together, and so that teaser goes up and down when you jig it. So it's not tied together when you tie it. It's free floating.
Okay. So I'm kind of tracking on that with the free floating. So you're mentioning there, so you tip it. What do you kind of threw me there. Let's back up a little bit. What do you tip it with?
Sand flea, man.
You're throwing a sand. Wait, so you're throwing the sand flea on the weighted side or on the teaser side?
On the teaser side.
Oh, you dirty girl.
Dude, like, if you want to catch pompano from a pier and you tipping a sand flea on anything, really. Like, I'll tip sand fleas on my I call them a fluke for the black drum and stuff. That's how you get a bite. You know, there's no better bait than the real thing.
Well, you're the first. So the normal that I've always heard of tipping when it comes to these is you tip the weighted side.
Okay.
With a sand flea or fish bites. So you're the first one to mention putting it on the teaser. And that's even better in my opinion, because as you're throwing the weight, and you're jigging it and you're pulling, that weight's doing its normal hop up. It's doing a skid across to make it look like a shrimp just spun something up in the sand. It's very, very visual. And again, this is a very reaction strike lure. You're hoping that pompano is pissed and going to just munch it down. So, but throwing a sand flea on there as you're doing the pullback with it coming up and then going back down, now you've created two things. You've created anger with that, and now they see a food source, so now they're attacking. I've never thought to put it on the teaser. It's friggin' brilliant, dude. But really good move.
It's got to be a really small one.
Yeah.
I don't like have you ever had any luck on like the big sand fleas? Yeah. Okay. You're like, yeah.
Oh yeah. So, okay. So full disclosure, 99% of the time, yes, I'm using the olive sizes, but I shouldn't give this tip away. Oh, well, I'm gonna. I will take the big one and I'll put it on. Basically, I'll put a Carolina rig or a fish finder rig, and I throw it out and let it sit within the first cut. So within the first 50 yards, I'm just lobbing that one, because you know how they do. Those things come up close.
You stole my thunder. I was literally just about to mention that.
My bad. But throwing that, those bigger fleas, even in that short zone, you're still getting these fish that are going to come up, because pompano, yeah, they're tall, but they'll flip. They can fly on their side. It's not uncommon. So throwing the big ones sparingly, but I'll throw it in the first trough in that first zone and let something big come and just tear it up.
Yeah. God dang it, because I was just about to mention that.
You're welcome.
So like for off the surf, man, if I'm not using jigs, a very generous person told me this, who's been fishing forever. He says the best thing to use if you're sight fishing, redfish, pompano, black drum, is a Carolina rig sand flea. And what he does, little secret I'm gonna give y'all, is he powder coats that lead weight to be white. So when he drags it, he says a lot of times, I've tried it before, when you throw in front of fish, sometimes they're gonna spook out, but a lot of times they'll come back kind of like a reaction to it. If you kind of reel that egg weight through the sand, puffing up that sand, it's going to see that sand flea dangling behind it, man, and they cannot stand it. I would say, like, when you're sight fishing on the beach and you see these redfish and you throw like something like a little 3-inch swim bait at them or a pompano jig, being honest, you got like a 30% to 40% chance of that thing eating. It's a fish has got to be hungry, but giving it a sand flea, it's almost like you up your chances quite a bit by doing it. I like throwing lures, but if I want to go out there and I want to catch like something off the beach and I know there's going to be fish out there, I will bring a rake with me and rake up some sand fleas.
So besides the goofy jig, what? Because I know that's strictly pompano and red, more so pompano than red. But what else are you throwing out there? What are you preferring?
So what I like to throw is off the pier, we call it a fluke. You might know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like you throw a little a little jig head with a white soft plastic on the end, and the tail swings back and forth. And what I like to do is put some Procure on it, and it's pretty much just like a little swim bait. A fluke, best way to explain it, because it's like a jerk bait. What a jerk bait is, like a soft plastic jerk bait.
Okay.
In the white color and load that thing down with Procure. Just drench it.
I'm gonna have to bring you some of the fish bites things.
Oh, whoa! What are we talking about now?
What? You don't know about this? Oh,
What
I
is
have
this?
failed as a friend. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
You got some stink?
Oh, are you kidding?
Oh
So
my
fish
goodness.
bites. If you go after the show, this is an easy plug. Go to fishbites.com and pull up the Dirty Boxer series. And
Okay.
dude, it's basically a fish bite swim bait, completely packed.
What?
Yes, that's what dude. I have mentioned so many times.
Hold
Like, can we
up.
get some of these fish bites things in the shop? Because I have to get mine from them back there in Jacksonville or over in St. Augustine. I have to go get it from fishbites.com. Yes.
Good
Dude,
Lord, why don't you show me this?
I brought them in before.
Oh my goodness.
I've given them to him.
I got it on my second monitor right now.
I mean, I've got some, so I'll bring you some for you to try out. But dude, like using that inshore for, I've caught a bunch of reds on it. That paddle tail, the squiggly tail, all of it, all those types, and you can already see those. You can use those on the pier, but I mean, it's just emitting. It's constant scent. That's all. It's constant, and they're tough.
That's important, man. Strong. Scent is really missed out. Black drum redfish, cobia too. Scent is big. It makes a big difference.
If you scroll down a little too, did you see the grubs?
Well, I closed it. Give me 1 second. Dirty box.
Yeah, so they've got these new, really.
They got paddle tails too. What are you not
dude?
showing me?
They have it all, man. Like this is. I'm gonna have to bring my fish bites episode for you to listen to. Brett talks about all the products, but yeah, that stuff, dude. It is a damn good bait. It's got plenty of stink in it. It's just, you can use it for just about any application. And I think there's going to be some new ones. Wouldn't shock me, but yeah, they're going to be good to go. Really, really good.
So I see that jerk bait now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm throwing on that. What I was talking about. That's pretty much exactly what it looks like on a jig head.
Okay. Yeah. So that's talking about, so the big lures on that. Now, what size kind of, because I mean, you got to throw some distance in this. What kind of weighted head are you using?
So off the pier, I like to use 1.5 ounce for my jig heads, for bonita tuna. Off the surf, I like throwing like 3/4, 1 ounce. But off the pier, distance is everything. 1.5 ounce. 1.5 ounce Z-Man headlocks. I don't know if you ever heard of the headlocks jigs. Those are probably one of my favorite jig heads.
Those are the screw, right? The little corkscrew at the very end there at the tip.
I think they do, yes. But they're kind of silver and bullet shaped.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I have seen those. Yeah.
That is a great jig head for what their hooks are super strong. I've caught tarpon off their hooks, It's their hooks are incredible. But
you start talking about tarpon, and all I remember was the last year's conversation with him about, hey, it hooked up and that counts.
What are we talking about?
Last year, Kyle was talking about catching tarpon off the pier. And he's like, dude, I hooked up. That was good enough for me. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, you're not going to pull a tarpon up. It's not going to happen. Not even a little up here. Because we get the monsters. You guys get after the super big shinies.
Oh,
and as usual,
people, our tarpon are like 100 pounds plus. You're not running into one under that. We get the big migratory females who are full of eggs. They're fully mature. And they're your little 20-pound, little 15-pound little tarpon you're seeing down in South Florida. They're these monsters, and not really too many people talk about tarpon here. It's pretty kept secret. When people think of tarpon, they're thinking of Keys, South Florida, but we got them here, and we got a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, you can hook up, but I mean, it's again a fish of a lifetime, and it's going to be a fight. So I'm sure you and I are going to get some hate. Like, why'd you talk about it? Oh, come on. We're not the first, and we won't be the last. Don't get all lippy and butthurt.
Oh, we're getting you a tarpon.
The pier is probably the safest bet for me for fishing, considering it's so solid surface. Because I've walked on the beach, and 3 times now I've been out to the beach. It has been nothing but pain, and it's oh my god, I can't do this. So yeah, I'm going to need to catch up with you one of these days to go onto the old hard surface. But now another 20 minutes just flew by.
Yeah, man.
Isn't it crazy? It's nuts how fast that
crazy.
happens, isn't it? Well, in that case, because it is our second one of the episode, we got to knock out our next bait check. This second bait check of the episode. Oh yeah, baby. Hopefully you've got a bunch of fish by now. You're good. Everything's golden. You're going home and you're listening to the podcast in the car. That would be the most bestest part. If not, change bait, change spots, do something different. Something needs to happen. You could throw a jig head with a fish bite on there. Kind of like what we're talking about. Who knows? But anyway, this bait check is being brought to you by Ninja Tackle. Head on over to ninjatackleva.com and look at all the ridiculously cool stuff that is there. Need that new travel rod? 4 pieces, 7 feet. Love that thing. I've had it out. I am thrilled throwing it. It throws a 1 ounce beautifully, and I am launching it. So I love that rod. That is going to live in my car and go with me everywhere, so I don't have an excuse not to fish. Or you need the 1-piece 7-footer all the way up to the 12-foot Ninja Daggers. The whole series, he's got them. Maybe you need some Akios reels. Why, he's got that too. Lots of good things in there. Bait, terminal tackle, pieces that you need to go from that. If you're a shooter, he's got firearms, optics, and other firearm accessories. Lots of cool things in there. So head on over to ninjatackleva.com, get your order in today. So we've nailed a bunch of your questions, dude. You've been crushing it. And this question, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How do you adjust your tactics for fishing when the bite isn't on fire?
Okay. Are we strictly talking surf or like pier, kayak?
Preferably surf. Yeah, let's stay in the surf. Well,
Okay.
because I mean, the pier, you really don't have too many options,
Mhm.
but in the beach, you got plenty. So what are you doing?
I think a lot of people, like, let's say you're in a spot, let's say you got your lines out and you don't get a bite in 20, 30 minutes. You got to move on. You got to move. If it's moving 100 yards down the beach or moving to another beach, going like, let's say you're Navarre and you go down to Opal. If you really want to get a fish, you got to move. Look for new holes, because these fish, especially like redfish, sometimes pompano, they're going to stick in those holes, and they're going to be not living in the holes, but they stick around because there's bait down there, and they're going to be where the bait is. So find new holes, fish new holes. Just read the beach. Sometimes it's nice. Like, again, if you want to look, what I do if I want to look for good places to throw some set rods is when I walk down the beach, I bring my phone with me and I mark. I'm like, hey, this is a cool spot I want to try out. That's important.
Yeah, the marking, and we've got so many apps for that now. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's there's no, no, I'm gonna say it. There's no excuse not to mark it in your own phone for to go back. If anyone ever steals my phone and you open up the maps, you're gonna find pins dropped along the beach with fish tags, because I mean that was before I was using Fish Rules, when they were having their part where you could mark it in there, or fishing points or any of that stuff. But yeah, marking those spots is such a huge advantage for later, and you're just building a database, so hey, last year I caught this with this with this, and the next year you already know where you were, what you used, and how you did it. You're giving yourself such an advantage.
I think I'm starting to do it now, but record what you're doing, not necessarily by video, but maybe have a journal or a notepad. Write down what you were using that day. Write down what fish you were seeing. It can be a hassle, but in the long run, that is really cool to look back on. I take pictures of all the fish I catch with the lures pretty much from the pier. And I'll get, especially with, like, I don't know if you use Snapchat or Instagram, you'll get memories like, oh, last year we caught this on this day, maybe. And it's kind of, especially here in Navarre, most of our fish are migratory. Pompano, black drum, they're migrating. This isn't a lot of them, this isn't their permanent stop. So it's going to be pretty consistent within the years of, like, especially pompano. It's always usually mid-March to like early April, mid-April. That's when it's really going hard. But, it's going to be pretty consistent about that time.
I actually think we're going to get it early. Do you see the water temperature today? It's almost 70 degrees, dude. That was ridiculous.
And that's not necessarily a good thing too.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's really not, because I dread it, but I know it'll happen because there's no choice. It has to happen. But that stupid tide is coming.
Oh yeah. A a lot of old timers will say this off the pier is they like that water to stay cool during the spring until like about mid to late March, because a lot of them say that the cobia, when the water warms up too much, they'll migrate offshore more than be sticking on the beach, because what cobia they're looking for is warm water. So when it's cooler, they're going to be up next to the beach where their backs are out of the water and they can feel that sun. But if that water's so warm, they don't need to. They can stay offshore. So,
and we've had a really, I mean, you've seen it. We've had a really funky winter.
Oh God.
The tuna came on time, slightly late. The kings have shown up early.
That you know of.
Fair. But the social media world, yeah. But a lot of these fish were all just kind of, it's in a funky one, but also we're catching bonefish from the beach.
Yeah.
We don't normally catch that here. Puppy drum. We don't catch puppy drum like we've been catching them this year. This is a really weird year.
Mm-hmm. Blackfin especially, where last year I would say we did see more fish. Not gonna say like we had a great year. Like again, 5-6 years ago, catching blackfin, the amount we do here was crazy, and the amount we're catching right now is ridiculous. But yeah, like a lot of people try to predict it with the cold fronts, and they'll say these moon phases, and everybody points out these fancy words. But to me, you just got to fish as much as you can. There's no like, yeah, people will say neap tides you can't catch fish in, full moons you can't catch fish in. There's
hold my beer, watch this.
Yeah. It's you gotta. If there's fish, there's fish. That's when there's fish around. There's fish around. Like today, we're seeing cow rays, we're seeing black drum coming through. There's fish here, so you need to fish. It's not, hey, high tides at 9:30, so let's hit the beach at 9:30 because that's probably where we're gonna catch a fish. No, you just got to be out there.
That's the one thing that I think I have the biggest struggle. So I personally, I am an afternoon into evening fisherman. That's my I'd love to make an excuse. I'm just lazy. I don't like getting up early, man. I've did it for too many years. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm old and slow, and I like my slow turtle getting out, having a cup of coffee, getting my day started. So I am definitely more on that side of the house. But as long as you're out there crushing, dude, you're doing it and you're getting the knowledge. So I love that you're doing it like that. I haven't seen you shy away from fishing since I've known you,
dude. It's a sickness. It's like, I don't want to go to work sometimes because I'm like, Amber, there's fish and I can't come.
I can't.
I can't. Like I'll be going to work. I got my kayak on my roof full of blackfin blood from the morning, and then which is a great thing, because you can catch these tuna at 7:30, go to work. And
that's the only time you can, or you can in the evening. But like I was going to go out this year when we talked about, I was going to go out in the kayak with you. I knew it's like, hey, look, we have to be out first light. All right, it is what it is. You're going after it. But like the beach side, I'm all, I can wait till the afternoon for the evening bite. I don't need the morning bite. But yeah, you're right, man. There's certain fish too. You just don't have that choice. If you want that species, your ass better be out there before the sun came up.
I'll tell you what, man. The tuna are probably the most consistent fish we've had all year. Of like the way they act. Like I'll tell you what, if I'm not getting a bite by 7:00, I'm already on the beach. I know like there's no point in me to be out there. And the people be like, oh, I've caught one at 8:00. Well, yeah, but every single fish I caught this year was before 7:00.
I believe it.
I've caught 10 off the kayak this year. Which I know that's kayak fishing, you're surf fishing, but that's
halvesies.
But I'm excited to get you in there, man, because the tuna, like I was saying, when there's fish, there's fish. With the tuna, it was like when they're out there, they're gonna be out there. Don't matter with cold front, moon, whatever. If there's fish out there and there's bait out there, they're gonna be out there. Like we'll all hook up and we'll all catch a fish, and we'll come back to shore, and there'll be that one guy. They're like, "Oh man, I didn't get one." And then I look at him; he's using steel leader and a frozen cigar minnow. And I'm like, "Well, I hate to say it, buddy, but." So,
you know that eye, you know that big ass eye they have.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Neil, the last question in this topic here. So let's talk about seasons, because you and I play this one quite a bit, and for me, I think you might agree, and I'll ask too, but I think midsummer, midwinter, absolute worst times to fish here.
Okay.
From the beach.
From the beach.
From the beach before you go on me. I saw where you were going there. But that's how I feel. Fall and spring, by all means, are dynamite, lights out. But for seasonal info for you, what have you noticed between all the 4 seasons?
Like what kind of fish we're catching?
Yeah, sure. Anything on that one? I mean, basically summer info, fall, winter, baits, tackle, time of day. What have you noticed has been kind of the trend for you?
So like wintertime is like everybody's like slow time, you know, it's the time to buy tackle really, because that's really all you can do.
Yeah, stock up while you can.
But you know, we had the tuna this winter. That's something. But before that, you know, it was you've done it before, catching bonita off the beach. That's something really fun to do when they're there in the mornings. Catching bonita. I'm not surf fishing off the beach in winter. I'm not catching whiting. I'm sorry, but
it's not your jam.
I just
You've said it before. It's not your thing.
Winter, and then going to springtime, which is right now, which is that's when everything starts coming. Springtime is everything starts migrating. King mackerel, pompano, everything starts lighting up. People migrate down here. Everything's down here. Springtime, I like pompano. I like catching pompano off the pier. You know, I don't mind going down to the pompano hole on the pier and catching pompano when it's cobia season. I love.
Don't talk about the hole.
The hole.
People don't know about that, I don't think. Not too many people do.
Oh, but yeah. And then the summer, I'm not getting weeds off my rig 24 hours, and I can't. As soon as there's a single piece of grass on my rig, I'm packing up. I'm going. I ain't dealing with that. And I'll hit the pier. That's you know fair. That we call it June grass.
Yep, the June grass
comes in June.
Comes in June, leaves in October
every year, and it stinks and it ruins your day.
But that is one cool thing you do, though, is that you have the pier, because the June grass doesn't always cover the entire pier. I mean, you can get down to the octagon and be completely clear of it.
Yeah, for sure. And again, when I'm talking about consistency, it's going to be like that every year. You know, people come to the store and they're like, "Man, I've never seen grass this bad." Or I'm like, it happens every year. It's like, or, you know, it's like, this was going to happen. Like when the jellyfish come in, they're like, "I've never seen this amount of jellyfish." I'm like, well, it happens every year. But
well, the purple meanies were a weird one this year. That was a cool chain. The purple ones, the purple meanies, I think they're called. They were big. They were like the big ones that looked like a giant basketball.
Oh yeah. Those I don't want
to. That was a first for me. I was like, well, I didn't see you last year. Hello. So that was kind of a cool change to see. But
yeah, we had
so got you on that.
Speaking about jellyfish, we had somebody come in the store. They're like, you know what this is? And you know exactly what this is. It was like they didn't bring. No, that would have been. No, but they took a picture of this. They're like, "What is this thing?" I'm like, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, but it's a Portuguese man of war, which is incredibly dangerous. And they're like so dangerous where if it gets on you, it's gonna hurt. You might
a lot. Especially
like what I didn't know when I first moved here is like I had a jellyfish go through my line. Not a man of war, thank God, but it was a regular jellyfish. I'm like, oh man, they got all on my line. So I'm getting my hands, getting it all over my line, and it will get you. It does not feel good.
Yep. That's one of the reasons I sometimes when I'm clearing goo off, I wear gloves now because I
Yeah.
too learned about
Yep.
the long-lasting stinger of jackassery known as a jellyfish. Yes.
Yeah. Oh God, it sucks.
So you nailed all these parts, and I'm actually gonna go ahead and skip that other section right there, and we're gonna go right to the bottom. Let's talk about this. I know you're not gonna be making rods right now until
Mhm.
April and later, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about you getting into these custom rods and making pier rods and other ones for people. What
Yeah.
made you want to start making rods?
So there used to be a rod builder here in Pensacola. His name is Obi Hill for Fast Cast Custom Rods. He was a real popular rod builder here, and he recently retired. Now there's nobody who does it, and I was like, well, I got nobody to build my rods, so I guess what's the old saying? Um, if you want it done right, you can do it yourself. So that's kind of what I did, and I just started making these rods for myself. And to be honest, I wasn't that good. And I made these rods, and I eventually got better at it. And people started noticing. They're like, "Where'd you get that rod?" And they're like, "Oh, I made it." They're like, "You make me one?" And then, especially from the pier, somebody hears you built a rod for them. They're like, "Well, can I get one?" And it was just like snowballed into, "Hey, I'm making rods for all these people," and I really appreciate that. I don't know if you know a lot of jig makers or people. I get a real kick of people using something I made. That means a lot to me for somebody to catch a fish on something I built with my hands. Um, that's part of the reason why I do it for people is I like giving something somebody will use the entire life, hopefully hand down to their kids, catch memories on. That means a lot to me. But custom rods, man, it's a whole different ball game. I remember I didn't even know those existed. I thought when I first moved in, I thought you had to get a rod from a tackle store. And I was like, what? You could make them? like when you show somebody, when I tell like one of my family members, they're like, you make rods. They're like, what does that mean? And I show them the rod blank and the guys. Like, you get to choose all of that? I was like, you can do whatever. So, but you can do and think of anything you want with a rod, you can pretty much do. Like anything you see, like you want to do foam, you want to do carbon fiber, you want to do cork, you can do anything you can think of with it.
And that is the fun part with customization. I mean, string, designs, paint, all that stuff, it's
Mm-hmm.
all doable. So it's definitely a work of art after they're done. And I love seeing yours. I've seen them in the shop there
Yeah.
at Half Hitch. I'm loving seeing how you've been building your rods and pieces like that. So with that one also, because I've asked you this question in the shop,
Mm-hmm.
but has there been a favorite rod series or anything like that for you to make?
So you probably know this because you told me when you went to ICAST, you're right next to them. But my favorite company right now is American Tackle. I'm part of the American Tackle Pro staff, and American Tackle is by far probably the coolest technology I've seen with rods. A big thing now is carbon fiber rods, and they make these great all carbon fiber rods that I don't know if I've given you one, but it doesn't. It feels like a feather is in your hand.
Is that the one that you handed me? I think you did. You handed me the blank and you showed me the ridiculous amount of bend where I'm like, you can stop anytime
Oh
you want
no,
to
no,
stop.
no,
I'm not
yeah,
bending this ridiculously expensive piece of stick here. Stop that.
yeah. But yeah, American Tackle, my absolute favorite. They have a line called Bushido, and it's carbon fiber. You probably if you went over to the American Tackle stand, you might have saw them at ICAST.
Oh, see, I fully will admit this. I walked up to the American Tackle guys, and they were wonderful. They were willing to talk to me, and I was overwhelmed by everything I saw. That I happily just did the nod, agree, smile, like thank you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go away from you because I'm not worthy to have this conversation. But you're right, man. They've got everything you need to make rods.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cornucopia. You want, whatever kind of rod you want, however you want to build, whatever you need, they've got it in house for you to order. It's
Yep.
ridiculous.
By far the best customer service too. And going into also while I was talking about how I got into custom rod building is I'm a huge gear nut. I'm a huge gear nerd. Like I like looking at specs of reels and specs of rods and new lures coming out. And I love that. And if you're gear nut like me, you will absolutely love rod building because it is a whole nother world of just fishing stuff. Because when you start building rods, you start looking at things differently when it comes to tackle. You start seeing stuff what is more important. I can go into Half Hitch right now and look at rods, see if they're splined right, see if there's gaps in the thread, see how well their epoxy work is done. And to someone who's not the untrained eye, they don't really see that. I can show you, Brian, a good rod versus a bad rod. There's so much to it, which I really enjoy. And with the pier especially, it's hard to get the rods we need because we do such a niche fishing. Same thing with surf fishing. It's such a, like the fishing we do at least, it's a niche. 9 to 10 foot rods are hard to really come by.
That was something that I unfortunately learned the hard way at ICAST. But while we're talking about that, we actually have to pause for a quick second because it's been another 20, man. It's been we've now hit a full hour. We are just crushing it here. It is your third and final bait check of the episode, and hopefully you've caught all the fish. In this hour that you've been out, hopefully you got a bunch, you got some good memories, everything is rocking, rolling for you. But if not, man, you need to go back a couple episodes. We got to figure out something. Something ain't working. We got to fix that. We got to get you fishies. Come on, let's do it. This bait check is being brought to you by DS Custom Tackle. DSCustomTackle.com. If you need a bunch of stuff, well, hey, they got it. Are you a rig maker? Hey, they do a whole lot of cool stuff for you if you haven't reached out to them yet. They're willing to talk. All you got to do is reach out. You can get your hands on the flea bag, that brand new, wonderful glow-in-the-dark sand flea pattern. Maybe you need the fruit basket. Plenty of good colors on that one. Maybe you need another set for some squiddies or any other jigs. They got you a whole bunch of things in there. So don't hesitate. Go on over to dscustomtackle.com. Take a look at all the cool stuff that they got on the website. Get your order in. You will not be sorry. I assure you. dscustomtackle.com. Get it done. So let's see. Now that we've nailed that one, let's see. Where were we? You were finishing up something, and I cut you off, and I apologize.
I have no clue, to be honest.
we both had our squirrel ADD hit. It's like, up, and on to the next thing. So
yeah.
Actually, this is perfect. Is there a specific type of rod you prefer to make, or is it all just 100% custom all throughout?
Ooh, I prefer to make. I love making pier rods because that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to get into the kayak rods, but pier/surf rods, because they kind of go hand in hand, is my ultimate favorite. Just because I've kind of nailed it down to see, like, guide concept is a huge thing. I don't know if you know this, but less guides you have on a rod, the farther you're going to throw. The reason why is that you're putting less drag on your line. So when your line shoots through your guides, it's less drag for that line to throw out. But you got to have a happy medium, because if you have not enough guides, you'll be throwing more wind knots. It's also more stress on your blank. So you got to find the happy medium of guides and what the proper way to do it. I really don't like a lot of people do this on surf rods is they have a lot of like tiny guides. I think they're called surf guides, where they put like 14, 15 guides on a rod and they shrink down really small.
Okay. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. You see it more on conventional style.
Yeah. With conventional, it's okay. But with spinning, it really limits your casting distance, in my opinion. And
you're inducing some drag.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know it, and like, you know, you get that thing off the bottom, off the reel, that thing is just whipping. Yeah, that braid is just flipping around, and the only thing to slow it back into its box is going to be the guide. So I see what you're saying.
Another important one, I see a lot of people. I know this might ruffle your feathers a little bit, but they like these 11 and 12 foot ridiculously length rods, and to be honest, you really don't need it. You're at 11 foot and a 10 foot, you're going to be casting about the same. If I have one of my rods that's 9 foot with less guides, I could throw just as far as 11 foot or 12 foot. In my opinion, when I build a rod, a lot of people come up to me and they want something stiff that they can horse fish with. I'm like, no, you don't. You want something that is most comfortable to you to throw.
Yes.
And I recommend that to a lot of people. When they go on the pier, they're like, I need something to horse up cobia, or I want a 10-foot rod to out throw everybody. And I'm like, no, you need a rod that you can throw the best, that makes you a better fisherman. You don't need a rod that is stiffer than everybody's or longer. You need something that's perfect for you.
Yeah, I can see that completely, especially in the custom one.
Yeah.
And I mean, a perfect example of that is Justin Reed Fishing. Justin only he'll use 9-footers, he'll use a 10,
Yeah.
he has a couple of 12s, but man, he is one of the few people that I can see that can throw a 9-footer as far as some people can throw a 12.
Yeah.
But he found the rod that works for him. So with all the talk of custom rods, and like you said, there's so many, we've talked about it pretty good here. There's so many different facets and so many things you can add. And I love the fact that you brought up the one part of, hey, look, bring me a rod from the shop or from the wall, and I'll show you if it was made right. Or you start to see these things more and more as you're becoming a rod maker. So I can imagine for you, when you're doing offloading of the inventory from the truck, you're just like, no. Ooh, hey, is there certain things that just kind of catch your attention now?
Yeah, a good way to compare that to, you could see, when you first start fishing, you go in a tackle shop and you see 100 different things. You're like, oh my God, what do I choose from? There's so much different colors and all this. And then when you start fishing and you see what works, and you go in a tackle shop, you're like, what the heck is this? And you start laughing almost. You're like, who in the world would use this? And you see, that's how I kind of am with rods. It's just like, you see what's good, and there's certain companies that do it really good. Another one, newer company, hands down the best rod you can get for your money. Company called Bull Bay rods.
Oh yeah, Bull Bay makes some nice rods.
Bull Bay is incredible of how well built their rods are. I can't emphasize that enough. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I'm just super impressed about how they build and how they look and how their grips are. Extremely high quality. There's also some rod companies that they charge a lot, and they're not there's some things where I'm like,
can imagine.
But especially now, you can get rods for a cheap price that are incredible. Penn is one where you can get a 10-foot surf rod from Half Hitch for next to nothing. I know Justin Reed uses these. They're great surf rods. I always put them when people come to the store, they want a surf rod. Beach runners.
Oh, the beach runner.
They're slept
on.
The runner. There's nothing wrong with them. Those are great, fantastic rods.
You can beat them up.
You can do anything.
Well, they're great except for their guides. That's the only thing I hate about them is their guides.
What do you not like about
fragile? They're just a little too fragile. That's the only. Other than that, phenomenal.
You know how I was saying that less guides you could throw farther? That's something with the beach runner. They don't have too many guides. You can freaking sling stuff with those rods.
Yeah. My first surf rod was from Half Hitch. It was the beach runner.
Yeah.
Yep. It was that with the Shimano. I bought everything right there that I moved in, and the person that used to work there, she's not now. Now she's a charter captain. She was helping me out, and she was like, look, dude, it depends. And she asked me the greatest question. She's like, are you going to be doing this long term, or are you just visiting? I'm like, I live here now. She's like, okay, get away from all this crap. Come here. And then we really, she broke it down, and it was, I love all of it. All my gear was great, except for the Penn Pursuit rod that magically decided to go swimming off of Fort Pickens and is still missing in action a year and a half later.
It's everybody. Worse stuff has happened. At least it was a Penn Pursuit combo and not a Van Stall. So.
Oh yeah, and you and I've had numerous conversations about the old VSs, and I would I'd lose my mind if I lost a rod with a Van
haven't,
Stall.
but I know people who have.
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody ever wants to go snorkeling or scuba diving, just run kind of by you can go to the reefs or just out of that area there.
That snorkel reef right there.
Oh yeah,
where the kayak, dude, I'm sure you could have a whole kayak fishing setup if you start scavenging.
probably. I don't know if it was. I'll have to ask him later. But yakking with Jack, I think he had a rod get pulled off from him there. He was out in that zone. Like, I can't remember exactly, but I remember a video where he's like, "What the? No!" And it just left his hand.
Yeah. But
Go
going about like looking for a rod, I don't know if you know how to do this, splining a rod, finding the spline of a rod. Do you know what that means?
No, never heard of that.
So a rod has a spline and it has a spine to it. A lot of these rods that you're buying and that aren't custom are manufactured overseas and they're not taken care of. So when you have a rod blank, there's a certain spline that it's comfortable at. And so when you bow that rod, it needs to be on that spline, and that's where it's most comfortable at. So you find that spline, and that's where you run the guides along. So it's so when you get free, I want you to go to your rods or look up on YouTube how to spine a rod or spline a rod. You kind of move it with your hands and flick it, and the guides, if it's splined right, the guides will be in line on top, vertical into the ceiling. So when you flick the rod on your hands, it's you probably have no idea what I'm saying.
No, but I'm coming in the shop to see it here. We're gonna do a follow-up video to this part of the podcast.
Whoa,
so keep talking about it because this is it's gonna tie into the other one. So keep going.
But because when you go in the store, you can have let's say 5 St. Croix. 5 of those might be splined wrong, but one might have the spline right. It's crazy because you think all the rods are the same, but rods coming to Half Hitch, some of them will have little like epoxy spills on them, or like thread. There will be thread gaps in them. There's little things. Not saying that rod's not good, but there's like you could choose a better rod out of all these rods. If that makes sense.
It does. I mean, it kind of goes with anything. If you do something long enough, like for you being a rod maker and you've learned this, these are things that are just new things that have popped up for you. And now because you're behind that, you can see it when you're there. Somebody's a mechanic or a chef. People are, if you're really honed in on your industry, when something is not right.
It's like,
but that's
when you, it's like when you build houses and you go into like a business and you're like, what the heck? You see stuff people who don't build houses would see. You're like, this place is not safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nowadays you can just go on TikTok and then some of the housing inspectors will be like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The word that's like the greatest and worst platform in the world some days, I tell you. So I've asked this one before and I actually got a load of crap for it because I used a certain word. But the normal question is why does someone want or need a custom rod?
Okay.
Let's take it a little bit more of a step further with that what would be a driving force for someone to want a custom rod? Okay.
So part of the reason why custom rods are so popular where we are and where we live is because 9-foot and 10-foot one piece, that's a keyword, one piece rods, you can't buy that. You can't go and buy a one piece 10-foot rod. No, you can't go to Half Hitch and buy it's going to be 2-piece. And the stuff we do is so technical for the pier, and the lures we throw and the fish we fight, you need to do a certain thing for it. And why buy an $800 Van Stahl and put a $100 rod on it? It's like, but a lot of people like that custom rod thing, and you can build your custom rod sometimes cheaper than a lot of these rods, be honest. And a lot of people are blown away by that. But how much would it like a 10 or 11-foot TFO rod cost?
Oh, those the surf ones? I mean, the surf ones are what, about 190, 220, I think it is, or something?
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I can't remember the range, but I remember it was hot. I remember it was up there. It was like it hurts.
Yeah. But if you go to a rod builder what I encourage people is it's not what we're gonna do with you, is building your own stuff. If you do get it, if you catch a fish on something you built, that's really cool.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know if you make lures, if you ever got into it. I know you make your own rigs. I know that's cool to catch a fish on a rig you made. Like even
Yeah,
the little things of, hey, I made this and I caught this. If it's even as little as I caught the sand flea, that's pretty cool.
dude, I love that you celebrate something like that, because a lot of people would forget that one part.
Mm-hmm.
You made it, and in making it, you were successful. That's a triple win, man. That's like top 5. You are golden. So no, I like how you brought that up. I like that. Very nice.
Like going back on why you would want or need a custom rod, to be honest, I was kind of lost finding answer because it's kind of hard. You don't really need one.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain why they would need a custom rod, but for the pier, it's niche. But like if you're surf fishing, you don't need to buy a custom rod. There's so many options out there for like just, especially if you're just throwing a set rig. You don't need to be fancy with it, man. Like if you're coming to Navarre, you're visiting, or you just want to get into it, just go to Half Hitch, get a pin pursuit or pin fierce combo, spool some 15-pound mono. I know a lot of people are afraid to use mono. Mono is just as fine. Trust me.
Great. I got a planned episode about mono as a single. Okay, got some fun stuff, and
Dude.
one I'll share with you after we're done recording.
Yeah. So yeah, just a lot of people get tripped up about gear, man. Some of the best fishermen I know use 706s, Mitchells. You know what that is, Brian?
The old school, yeah.
Yeah, old school. You don't need a freaking Stella to go surf fishing. I use Van Staal, so I'm kind of a hypocrite, but
no, back up. You just recently got heavy into the stalls. You were not always a Van Staal user.
I mean, like pier fishing wise, I guess you could say that. I'm a pin guy personally. I know you're a Shimano guy. You like them plastic Japanese reels.
I'm a different reel company, but I do love Shimano's for
the different reel company.
Yeah, you guys don't sell it. No one does locally. PC Fun. I'll bring you in one time for you.
Oh, yeah. I've seen them on online.
Yeah, I mean that's all they sell it is online, and it's it's a low rent reel, but it's actually surviving, which is driving me nuts. I've tried to kill this damn thing, and it doesn't want to die. So I need to take it in the kayak and really try to kill it.
I'll tell you what. There's this company that just came on the map a couple years ago. They've probably been around longer, but they really started getting popular a couple of years ago, who make hands down the best and most indestructible reels for the money. It's called Tsunami. The Tsunami Saltex, Tsunami Evict.
The Saltex, dude.
For $400, that might be steep. The drag is better than a Van Staal. I'm telling you right now, it is. It may not be as strong as one, but it's just as good as one. And the lures and their rods too are also incredible. That Tsunami Carbon Shield, for the price it is, they make surf rods that are great. But I'm really impressed by Tsunami.
Yeah, they kind of came out the gate swinging.
Yeah.
Was it last year? No. Maybe it was the year before that they came out with the Saltex, and everybody's like, oh, this is a gimmick. And then it was like, holy crap, this reel is good.
Nobody really uses it. I don't know why, because I had one, and I really did like it. It is a really good reel. Oh, God, here we go. I see that face.
I still believe that so many people are brand specific loyal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That it's hard for them to make the switch.
Yep.
And at the same note, Tsunami and a $400 price tag. It's like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I got that. And that is, I think, one of the hardest pieces for a lot of people to walk. That's the other reason why, I went from Penn to Shimano, because it was like, well, I kind of like the Shimano feel a little better. Now, I love my battles. We all know battles are great reels, indestructible, real powerful. I love them. They're great. They're readily available. No problem. But then I find these PC funds and I'm like, holy crap, they're smaller, which is weird, but they do justice. They're fine. They're perfect for surf. It does the job I need it to do. So if you can get away from brand loyalty and try something new, you might be blown away.
Yeah. It's kind of like my daddy drove a Chevy, so I'm going to drive a Chevy, and then my son's going to drive a Chevy.
Yeah.
When really Ford is better.
It sounds like you're talking about my family. How fun. They're all Chevy users, and I was like, I went and bought an F-150. Like, ugh, you bought a Ford.
Yeah.
I did. That's a little fun sidebar there.
Yeah.
So prices, I don't like talking about this because I know, and that price is driven by the components and the time.
Yes.
And that's the one thing I think a lot of people also negate is a custom rod is not just the components. It is the amount of hours that are spent making that rod for you. So when it comes to a price range, what have you seen on low end and high end? Let's go with that.
Okay. For sure. So like, let's say a low end custom rod, it's going to be like the number one rod I recommend for people who are getting into pier fishing. You can also use it for surf fishing. It's called a Rain Shadow 1088, which is a 9-foot or 8'10" Rain Shadow, and it's all around like throwing bait, throwing lures, and that's a graphite rod with like a normal graphite Fuji reel seat. You know what I mean? They're pretty much on all reel or rods. Some basic grips, and then no custom wraps, just basic solid color wraps with guides. You're looking at probably about $275. But, again, that is an 8'10" one-piece rod blank, which aren't cheap. Those rod blanks are $120 themselves. So, but when you go into high end, you're also going to be, it's going to be like your aluminum reel seats with an aluminum butt cap with decorative thread work, which takes a lot of time, and then certain guides. You can spend $200 on guides alone. They make some wild stuff. They make all titanium guides. They make carbon fiber guides. There's stuff you've never even seen. That's why I encourage people to learn, even if you don't want to build them, just like research them. So if you do want to get one built, you know what you're talking about. So you're like, hey, I want this rod with these guides, these grips. It's important to learn that and to know what's out there.
Right. When I remember when I came in the shop, you had a new set of guides. You're like, dude, you got to see these. And it was on one of those new, like, what is this? This is it was the strangest thing. So I'm like, it's all metal. Why is it all bendy? Yeah. Why is it perfect? What the hell is this? So that really opened my eyes. So that was cool.
But like a high end rod, you could spend $500. So
yeah, I can see that.
But if you take care of a rod, it will last you forever. A lot of people, how many people come in the store with broken rod tips and broken guide? I'm like, what did you do?
I've been that guy. And mine was, of all things, my garage door track. Apparently my rod, I didn't put it in the way in the holder properly like I normally do. It was hanging over. So as the garage door opened once, I was like, what was that? And I look over and all I see is a dangle. I'm like, I just got the tip off a rod. Oh my God. But thankfully Jesse was like, don't do that again, and fixed it, put it back on we moved it down, but it worked out well.
I'm gonna tell you a funny story real quick. When I was going to a customer's house and showing him some stuff, I had his rod blank and some other customers' rod blanks in the trunk of my car. And I don't drive a truck, so I went to get out of my car and I was like showing him a rod blank. I closed my trunk and closed the trunk of my car on the rod blanks and cracked it. I was like,
no, you didn't.
Yeah. So I was like,
on the blanks?
Yeah, it was a 10-foot one-piece Rain Shadow 1207 SU blank, which are like $200. So
wow.
I was like, well, your 10-foot rod just turned into 9'6" rod. So.
Oh, dude. Oh, that hurts. Like I'm not even involved and that hurts.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh. Yeah, we won't see that again, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're not building now. You're going to continue to
Mhm.
build eventually. You're going to said you're going to when are you going to start taking orders again?
May.
Okay, Mayish. Got it. So if people want to talk to you about custom rods and building that, how do you want them to get in touch with you?
I'm a Gen Zer, so Instagram, Ralphie's _ custom rods. That's a good way to reach me. My YouTube channel, Ralphie's Fishing. I'll be posting. I started a new series which I call Rod Talks with Ralphie, which is just kind of it's a time lapse of me building a rod and kind of discussing what's going on with the rod, and then just talking about life, talking about fishing, talking about what's going on, what I'm excited for. So yeah.
Dude, that's cool. I'll make sure I get the plugs back in there and I'll get them tagged up. So if you guys go back to findingdemosurffishing.com and you look for this episode, as you scroll down, you'll find a hyperlink available to get you over to those channels and make sure that you're following. That's got to be a lot of fun and therapeutic to do. And I love that you threw the Gen Z thing in there.
Yeah, I don't use Facebook.
Me and my old self. Ugh, I'm feeling dated. Well, let's ask the last set of questions to get you out of here and on with your day. What knowledge would you give to a brand new angler?
Oh, it's a good one. Gosh, let me think of a good answer to this. Like, okay, YouTube is a great tool. I'm gonna say that, a great tool. I wouldn't depend on YouTube, but YouTube will guide you in kind of a direction you should go. There's a lot of great content out there to look at, but people say this a lot, and it's a lot cliche. The best tool is just get out there and to fish. I know it's frustrating for people to hear that. They're like, there's no secret to fishing. There's certain things that do work and do work better, but the best way is just to get out there and see what works for you. When I kayak fishing I'm new to kayaking. I just got my kayak, but I wouldn't consider myself a good fisherman, but I catch a lot of fish just because I fish so much, man.
Yeah.
I literally fish every single day, and that's the best way to get good. It's kind of obvious, but that's all you can do, really.
See, I love that for you though. You can go fish and then you go work at Half Hitch and you're right
Yeah.
at the tackle shop for the day. So I mean, you're surrounded by fishing, which is everyone could.
Mhm.
It's a big angler would be like, yes, yes, and more yes to all of that. I'm going to fish in the morning, go to work, fish for a little bit, then go home. I like it.
And you explained this in some of your older podcasts of how some people are upset about new people moving here, and
Yeah,
we really there's plenty of fish to go around, like you said. I love helping new people. People come to the store and let's say they recognize me from Facebook, commenting on kayaking, or they see me at the pier fishing, and they want to learn something. I absolutely love when I help somebody out and they come back and they're like, dude, we just limited out on pompano. That is one of the greatest feelings I have as an employee at Half Hitch, is helping somebody like fish, because that's what they love to do, and that's what I love to do. I would never ever like do charters or guiding, but just that little thing of sending somebody in the right direction, it means a lot to me.
dude, that part right there has got to be so awesome, man.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've seen it when I'm hanging out there with you guys, because I am that weird old guy that will happily hang out in the tackle shop with the people and have great conversations, because it's a hell of a team here at Half Hitch Navarre. But yeah, seeing the people come in all big smile, like, dude, I just caught this one, and then you guys with the brag board on there, I love that. I love that Amber puts those pictures up and celebrates the catches from the area. I think it's so great.
I was kind of gonna go into that. No need to like make my head bigger, but a lot of times I'm on there with the fish.
Yeah.
And people come in and they see that, they're like, well, I gotta go talk to that guy, because and that helps a lot, because a lot of people come in and they're a little scared, they're intimidated by all the stuff, but it's really not that hard. And just talk to somebody. And a thing people do, which they need to come in here, she better, as you need to listen to the people at Tackle Shop, because I'm sorry to tell people this, but they probably know more than you. And like Jesse, like people come in the store and they see Jesse and they're like, well, yeah, I don't want, let me go talk to the dude over here. But Jesse is really, she's a better fisherman than me.
And
she knows
Jesse
more.
Jesse will outfish half the people that come into the shop. We know
like,
this.
The people, you get, the best thing is what my dad says and what my mom always says is if people use more of their ears and their mouth, it's going to help you out a long way. Just listen to what the people who have been doing it longer for you say. And because a lot of people come in and they're bass fishermen, or they fish up north and they think they know everything about fishing, but they come here and they don't know jack squat. You got to listen.
Yeah. Wow, but as I'm celebrating the background, I mean, dude, it's the same thing for me. Like if I've traveled to the East Coast of Florida, it's a different fishery. It's a completely different style of fishing. But the same of the, some of the nuances I use here are going to work over there, but I'm still going to go in and talk to the local tackle shop or the local anglers or friends. Like, dude, what are we doing? How do we, I remember very clearly I went fishing with Chip, the sinker guy, and he's busting up these quahog clams, like smashing them together, cutting them and using clam. And I'm like, why are you using clam? And he's killing it, crushing it. He comes over here with clam and it doesn't work as well. Like significant difference between the two fisheries. That's a piece of knowledge that I was like, holy crap, dude. Now I know that. So next time I go back, I know what I need. But talking to the locals, so much information, and the tackle shops is like the central hub where people come and spill the beans. So come in there and ask.
Yeah, that's something I could really appreciate about you and Justin. When you all come in, I don't mean this in a bad way at all. Y'all are really humble and y'all listen, and it proves because y'all do catch fish, and it works out for y'all, and I appreciate that. There's a because y'all are good to talk to. I like people who, because a lot in the fishing community, I always say this a lot, is it's kind of a joke. I say it's like, how many fishermen does it take to change a light bulb? 10. One to actually do it, and 9 others they could say to do better. The fishing community is a very very butting heads. You know what I mean? Like, especially on Facebook, I call them keyboard warriors. You could post a fish you catching a pompano, and then 20 people will comment about how you're doing something wrong, or you know what I mean? It's like, really?
There's always that one was like, oh yeah, how big was that fish? And I caught like a 16-incher. It was a good
one.
Oh, mine was 19.
You know exactly what I mean.
I'm happy for you and you're 19. Great job. Like, are we really measuring right now, bro? Like, if you want, let's go out to the beach. We'll throw rods and we'll see. But I mean, it's just have fun and be humble and enjoy it. It doesn't, for lack of better terms, I'll market explicit. It doesn't need to be a dick measuring contest every time we get together. It's just get out and have fun.
Just have fun, man. So. And I'm glad you brought that up about the good thing about fishing, man. It don't matter where you come from, how much money you make. All that matters is if you're catching fish. Are you?
Yeah. The one piece, I know we're going longer than we talked about. We only said we're going to do like 15 minutes, but hey, who knows? Maybe this becomes a 2-parter. Well, I guess I lost my train of thought, so never mind. Screw it. I got all excited about the thought process I was on and completely blew it. Oh well. All right. So let's talk about let's get the last question here and get you out of here, because now that I've lost that, there's no point in rambling it. What's next for you?
Oh man, what's next for me? So I've been getting to YouTube a lot. I know you comment on my YouTube video. That really makes me happy that people are enjoying what I make.
No, yeah, dude, it's fun watching. I mean, now that I've seen it, I'm like, oh, cool. What's Colin doing?
I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a content creator. When I go out and kayak fish and when I go out to fish, I'm a fisherman before I am a content creator. I'm going to put that out. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to be uploading every week. I'm not going to be putting red arrows in my thumbnails. I'm not going to be putting my intros in, but I will be doing more YouTube. And my goal for YouTube is kind of be doing stuff that not a lot of people do. Like one of my goals on some of my tuna videos was I wanted to catch a tuna on the lightest tackle I could, which I caught 6 on 15-pound braid. And I tell people that, and they're like, that's crazy. But
all about that drag manipulation.
It's all about the drag. But yeah, you'll see a lot of YouTube videos from me. Hopefully, mainly rod building. Not gonna be doing much pier fishing because the pier is close to my heart, and a lot of people up there, you know, they don't like a camera in their face, and I respect that.
They don't at all.
And a lot of people, I'm not pointing fingers, but a lot of people are coming up there and trying to do that, and it's not going to get you very far with the people who fish there a lot. Just saying. They're very sacred to their fish up there. But on a kayak, I don't care. I'm filming everything, and I'm posting.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, that's public water for me.
I mean, I'm not saying that I had mentally checkmarked a idea where I'd go to see where they're casting at the pier, then go about 20 yards past where they're casting and cast a little further just to be just outside the range. Yeah. Well, dude, seriously, Colin, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been friggin' awesome having you on here, and you've dropped a ton of great stuff, great knowledge. And seriously, dude, please continue with the rod building because I've seen the quality. I love it. I think you're making a great product, and I know that you're putting your heart and soul into it. So I know it's a good thing that someone's getting. So thank you again so much for coming on here and just being a part of this, brother. I appreciate it.
Sweet. I appreciate it, man. I really like talking to you. It's always a pleasure you come in the store, man. Very humble. Listen, you do a great job, man. I really am liking the podcast. I'm probably gonna catch first cobia of the year off the beach.
When I can hobble out there, sold. I will happily walk with you all the way down to that far spot that we're not supposed to go to. But when I'm done hobbling,
I'll put you in my cart and I'll just push you, man. I'm
not making you carry my tiny ass around in the cart. I won't even let anyone else do it. I'm not letting you do it. All right, man. Don't hang up.
I'm still here.
No, I had to pause, so I knew where to go back to. All right, so I'm going to do the outro. Just hang out, okay?
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Finding Deal with Surf Fishing. I hope this episode was helpful for you. I know it was for me. Lots of cool little tips and tricks in there, and especially talking about a lot of this other stuff with the custom rods. I hope that Colin brought some stuff that really got your attention and made you think about this. I will have a video put out eventually on the spine piece he was discussing to really bring it home so that way you could see what he's talking about, and I'm sure he'll probably put it up on his YouTube anyway. We'll get there. But appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for always being a part of the show, doing all the stuff that you are. And we'll see you next week. I'm out of here.